it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I'm here to share with you a fun watercolor birthday scene. We're going to be using some stamps from Art Impressions. This is a new stamp company for me. I have never used any of their stamps before, and I love them. This is a really adorable stamp set called Duck Stackers. This is absolutely so cute. I love how these little ducks are stacked up on top of each other, and this is a rubber cling stamp, so which means after you remove this backing here, there is a cling surface that will attach to your clear blocks or stamping mounts. For storage, I'm going to keep using the removable backing piece, but you could also mount this onto some transparency or whatever other methods of storing you prefer, but that's my method there. Now, to make my card, I'm going to be using my Misty stamping tool and some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black Dye ink to stamp this little image of all of these adorable ducks stacked on top of each other. And I'm going to be stamping them onto watercolor paper. Again, I'm using my Misty to go ahead and give me a good impression. And what I also am making sure is that I get a nice detailed impression. This is a very detailed and very thin-lined image, so I want to make sure I get a nice dark black image as much as possible. So I'm going to start by watercoloring here. I am using some watercolors from Winsor & Newton. These are the Cutman watercolors. And I'm going to be adding some color to my ducks. I'm going to be doing some very simple shading. I'm just adding a light wash of yellow, and then I'm adding some darker yellow of the same color, just a more concentrated pigment. And I'm going to go ahead and add some shading using that concentrated color. So it's very simple coloring, and I am using just same color on all of the ducks for the yellow. And then once I have all the ducks colored, I'm going to go ahead and add some blush to their cheeks using some pink Cotton watercolors. And I'm also using some darker red colors mixed in with some yellow to create a nice brown for their feet. So I'm going to go ahead and add those colors in on their feet. And then I ended up using some darker orange yellows for their beaks. I'm going to go ahead and move to cutting these guys out. I'm using some cutter bee scissors here to fussy cut my little images out. I'm cutting this whole entire stack because I want to make sure that they get popped up off of my card. For the panel that these ducks will be sitting on, I'm going to be using some distress inks, and I'm going to be putting them down onto some watercolor paper. Here I've got peacock feathers, and I'm going to be smooshing this onto a piece of page protector. You could use acetate or whatever type of slick surface that you have. I'm going to spritz this heavily with some water to get the ink moving. And then I'm going to go ahead and give this a nice big smoosh right onto my paper. I just love that word, smoosh. It's so fun. Okay, so now that I have all my color applied to my paper, I'm going to spritz this again with some water, get that color moving. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a rag and dab up some of that darkest color because I want this to be very light. So I'm going to go ahead and keep dabbing that up. And I'll keep moving that around with some water, dabbing, and just until I get the look that I want. And then I will go ahead and dry that. And then once I have that dried, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the grass. For the sky, again, I use peacock feathers, and for the grass, I'm going to be using some twisted citron. I'm laying my ducks here to get an idea of where I want the grass to start and end. I'll go ahead and spritz this again with some water after I've applied it to my page protector. And then I'll go ahead and press that down into the bottom portion of my panel. Again, I'll just dab and smoosh that around, and then I'll go ahead and spritz this with some water to get it moving. And then I'll dab some of the extra color up as I'm drying the paper. Alright, now it's time to move on to our sentiment. Right here you can see I'm testing out how my sentiment is going to stamp. Because this is a cling stamp, I cannot see through it, so I want to make sure that I'm going to get this perfectly lined up and straight for where I'm going to be stamping my sentiment. So I like this placement, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my paper down just a smidgen, and then I'll go ahead and stamp this down onto my panel. Now, this stamping ink that I'm using here is Simon Says Stamp Pigment Ink. This is a new pigment ink color to the Simon Says Stamp shop. Beautiful black, and it stamps gorgeous. I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this down. Again, I'm using my Misty here. And then once I have that stamped down, I'm going to take a little tiny happy birthday sentiment from the Wild Beauty stamp set. And I'll go ahead and stamp that down as well. The Wild Beauty stamp set is from Simon Says Stamp as well. So there you can see how my little ducks are going to line up. I did end up trimming down this panel a little bit because it was a little too big and I had too much open space. So I just trimmed that down, and now I'm going to go ahead and attach it to a piece of yellow cardstock. I'm just going to go ahead and add some ATG adhesive along the back side, and then I'll go ahead and mount this over top of the yellow cardstock, which is Sunshine cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. And then once I have that attached down, I'll add some more adhesive to the back side of this paper, and then I will go ahead and attach this down onto my A2 sized card base. Now, of course, this is a birthday scene, so I needed to have birthday elements. So I am doing some watercoloring to some images that are from the Cuddly Critters accessories stamp set. This matches up with the Cuddly Critters stamp set that came out in April. And the Cuddly Critters stamp set has so many fun birthday images like balloons, party hats, all sorts of little fun confetti. Really, really cute stamp set and perfect for using on its own or with the Cuddly Critters stamp set. So I'm just using my Winsor & Newton Cotton watercolors to go ahead and add some coloring to these little images. I'm doing very simple shading again as I did with the ducks because this is a very fun and playful image. So I wanted to make sure that the coloring evoked that same feeling. So I wanted it to have a playful look. So for the party hat here, I'm just using some purple, and I did not like the coloring on this blue hat, so I'm going to go ahead and do it again on that third hat. I ended up stamping some extra just that way I could figure out how many I wanted to have on my card because I wasn't sure as I was making this. So I'll go ahead and color in this little balloon here. I'm going to color it in a yellow-orange, and then I'll go ahead and color in that same party hat up at the top with that same blue color that I used there on the first one. Didn't like that coloring. So I'll go ahead and color these, and then once I have them colored, I'm going to go ahead and die cut them using the coordinating Cuddly Critters accessories die set. That's a bit of a tongue twister. So I'll go ahead and attach those down with some removable washi tape, and then I'll go ahead and run that through my Big Shot. Once I have that die cut, I'm going to go ahead and start attaching this all together. I've popped up the balloons off of my card using some foam tape, and I'm going to attach my little duck stack up onto my card as well using some foam tape. I attached the party hats. Aren't they adorable? I attached them down using some liquid adhesive. So I'll go ahead and line these up, and these ducks absolutely crack me up, especially the one with the purple party hat. I mean, he's like so cute. I made sure to cover his eyes because just the way he was standing, it was like he looked like he was peeking out of a hat that was way too big for him. Alright, so now it's time to finish up this card. If you know me, you know I love adding extra detail to things. So I'm going to be taking some of my Cotton watercolors, and this is a gorgeous green color. I'm going to be adding some blades of grass along the bottom portion of my card. You could have left that more impressionistic just as it was without adding extra detail, but I needed to have that extra detail. It was killing me without it. So here I am adding in that extra detail, and I'm just mixing a couple green colors together to create some variations of grass blades, and I'm just going to keep flicking those on. To add some sparkle and shine, I'm going to be using the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and this is the clear one. I'm going to be adding some glitter over top of my party hats and my balloon. This glitter brush picks up some of the paint color because, of course, this is watercolor. So I'm just going to go ahead and dab that off on the side there. You can see I'm just dabbing it off into a rag, and then I will keep doing that between each color. To finish off my card, I added a few sequins from Pretty Pink Posh and Simon Says Stamp, and I added some glossy accents to the balloons to make them look dimensional and shiny, and that's going to finish off my card. So I hope you've enjoyed and got some inspiration on using the Duck Stackers Art Impressions stamp set. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and head on over to the Simon Says Stamp blog where you can get more information on this card, including still pictures and products used. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.